life. So he told like that, and I told, how come? How come? He said, yes, because they may not be practicing what they are preaching. But most of the pravachan, those are giving pravachan, if they are pure, they will act on their self. So bhakti is completely different. A person may be listening to Bhagavatam, but may be doing bhakti better than a person who is doing the pravachan. Because pravachan person is not practicing. So I am one of the cases. So not all, it's few cases he says. So I am one of the cases. So exceptional case like that I am. So I'm not practicing what I'm preaching. I'm still. And I would like to thank Radha Prana Prabhu as a was instrumental in me. I want to thank all who are instrumental in me becoming Bhagavad. And I just pray my instrumental.
Prabhuji, your voice is breaking.
Okay. Now, Hare Krishna. Now it's okay.
Now it's okay. Yeah.
So I want to thank all the devotees, all the people who are involved in bringing me there for the week. And I'm very much indebted to them for life. So, and also I'm thankful to Vaishnav Seva Prabhu, Devakinanda Prabhu, Alchaka Prabhu, of course, who's one of my Shiksha, like friends to me. And he was, in fact, whatever I'm speaking, and because of his mercy, I'm able to speak. So I have his mercy. Speak. Thankful to all the devotees and practices who have given so much love and care for me. I didn't understand when I was there. It is mentioned, no? Adipachya avajnana means familiarity breeds contempt. Because you are all familiar to me, now it is contempt. Now, because I moved away from now, I understood the value. So familiarity breeds contempt is because we are familiar with the people, we take people for granted. And that is natural, just like husband and wife. So husband knows the defects of a wife, wife knows. Same way, the devotees we move together. So I took all of you as granted. So that's why Krishna said, you don't deserve to be in this position. So that's why he said that you just shut out. Shut me out. It is like, it is mentioned in the Bhagavatam. It is Preksha Narmitika. Preksha Narmitika. Preksha Narmitika covering means you are thrown out, and then Avarnatika, and then you are covering with the material cover. Two types of covering. One is material influence, one is throwing influence. Preksha Narmitika is Krishna work, and that's why we are all thrown from Vaikuntha. So the same way it happens if Krishna doesn't like, if he does, Krishna is not happy with that person. He will throw him out of the association of people. Because he knows that this fellow doesn't deserve. He has to realize. He has to go through some struggle and he will understand. So that's how Krishna works and corrects the living. I'm not getting corrected, but anyway. So that's how it is. Now today, Bhadra Purnima is coming on 20th September. So it's very auspicious to distribute or give Bhagavatam sets. It is mentioned in the Bhagavatam itself. It is mentioned 12th canto, 13th chapter, 13th verse. It's nicely mentioned. I'll recite the verse. It's very important. We'll recite from others Puranas also. It's very important. Raustapadyam Paurnamasyam Hemasimha Samanvitam Dadatiyo Bhagavatam Sayanti Paramam Gatim. If on the full moon day of the month of Bhadra, one places Srimad Bhagavatam on a golden throne and gives it as a gift, he will attain the supreme transcendental destination. Supreme transcendental destination. So if you give us a gift, this is Krishna's assurance. It is from the Bhagavatam itself. So what else we want? Actually, this 13th chapter is the glorification of Srimad Bhagavatam. It is nicely mentioned. And therefore, I would request all of you to take the initiative to buy the books if you don't have, as Girivardhari told. And if you have one, if you already have one, please distribute to your near and dear ones. And it is worth it. It is 6,000 rupees. In being in Abu Dhabi, it is 300 dirhams. We are spending for so many things. 300 dirhams is nothing for all of you. So 300 dirhams, if you spend, it is so auspicious. And it's given, it is given the benefit. You will attain the supreme transcendental destination. The golden throne and skill and also worship. So it is exalted in the sign of Leo, according to astrology also. So one unreservedly worship Srimad Bhagavatam as a divine scripture. Then there is another one from Varaha Puran. He says, Mamotsaveshu Sarveshu Srimad Bhagavatam Param Srimantiye Nara Bhaktya Mamam Prityati Cha Suvrtaha Bastra Elankana Pushpet Dhupadipo Paharkai Yashikrito Hi Ahmati Cha Satstriya Satpati Yata. This is spoken by Narayana to Brahma. He says, O saintly Brahmana, he's telling to Brahma, among all my festivals, the celebration of appearance of Srimad Bhagavatam is the best. I am subdued by persons who, with the devotion and love, here decorate, worship Srimad Bhagavatam with clothes, ornaments, flowers, incense, lamp during festivals. Put as a chaste wife, just as a chaste wife subdues her husband, just like a chaste wife, like Kadama Muni, wife Devahuti subdued her husband, and so that she can get the aerial mansion and enjoy everything, and also get Lord Kapila also. Kadama Muni was completely satisfied with the service rendered because she was a chaste wife. The same way, if you become chaste to Bhagavatam, chastity is very important. If you do chaste with the Bhagavatam, then Krishna says, I am subdued by that person. With devotion and love and care, whatever we are hearing with love and devotion, and decorate and worship the Srimad Bhagavatam, then with ornaments. Decorate means, worship means what? We have to read Bhagavatam and apply in our lives. Then that is the real meaning of worship. Just offering lamp is very good, excellent. The real worship of Bhagavatam is we have to distribute this Bhagavatam to others, whatever knowledge, and also read and realize and apply in our lives. That is the real meaning of Bhagavatam distribution. So it is very auspicious. And then Bhattam Puran says very nicely, our Maharaj has quoted in 2007 in Abu Dhabi in Purna Principle Forest. I think it is in Filipino cave, no? Filipino cave, some building, not the Lulu Center, but it is somewhere in Electron. Namami Devam Karunani Dhanam Kamalavarnam Sugitavataram Apara Samsara Samudra Setum Vajamage Bhagavata Swarupam. It says, I offer my respectful obeisances and to the worshipper who has appeared in the form of Srimad Bhagavatam, Karuna Nidhanam. It is completely fully merciful and bluish in color. Kamala Varnam. It is in Krishna and Bhagavatam is non-different. Kamala Varnam, bluish in color, has appeared real benefit of the Sugita Avataram. It is Sugit means it is avatar of what benefit of the human society. Apara Samsara Samudra Setu. Apara, that which cannot be crossed, Samsara Sagar. Samudra Setu, we can completely cross over the old ocean of limited ocean. Vajamage Bhagavata Swarup. And then Bhagavatam also, it is Bhagavatam also says, Srimad Bhagavatam Pratyaksha Krishna Evagi. Srimad Bhagavatam and Krishna are non-different. So that is what we understand. And then we like to understand once Prabhupada was asked, actually Prabhupada took initiation, sannyasa initiation of Bhadra Purnima. And then one person asked, are you going to America? He said, no, I'm not going to America. Bhagavatam is going there and I am accompanying it. I'm going with it, he says. So, and in 2018, I think our Bhadra Purnima period, I think India, they have sold 4,000 sets of Bhagavatam and 2,000 only from Mayapur because of the inspiration given by His Holiness Jayapataksam Maharaj Ki Jai. So it is very important that the Bhagavatam sets should be distributed. It's nothing you can sell. You can take 2, 3. 3 means 900 grams. No, so much we are spending. So 900 grams can be easily spent. I request and pray to all of you. It will not cost you much, and it is worth it. It will, because this is the most auspicious gift you can give to anybody, because that can liberate even the person who is not reading. The children will read. And Maharaj says, Prabhupada books is a time bomb. It will explode at the appropriate time. So don't worry about it. Please try to distribute this Bhagavatam on these auspicious. It is very important for us. Okay. And then beautifully it is mentioned in the Padma Purana also. Vadi sarveshu vedeshu gadi sarvesham chatunam varam sarveshu putra puraneshu taran sarva papmanam tena bhagavata muchyate. It says this Purana shines brilliantly. Bhati. Bhati means Bhati sarveshu. Ba is taken. And then, because in all the Vedas, it's highlight the meaning of Vedas lucidly, means Sarva Vedanta. And it is mentioned in the Bhagavatam also. And it shows goal Gatihi. Gati is also there. Gati Sarvesham Jatunam. It is a Gati. And it is the Varam because it's the best benediction of all the Puranas. And else the Taran. Taran means you can cross over the ocean of material existence. Va, Ga, Va, Ta. Ba means Bhagavatam, essence of all Puranas. Ga means Gati. From there we can get the Gati, which means the final reaching of the goaling of transcendental destination of Krishna. And then Varam, it is a Varam, it is a benefactor. Because, and therefore it is going to, why is a benefactor to all the living entities? Because it is going to Tara. It means it's going to take us over the ocean of the material. The destination will be achieved because this one is a benediction. Because it is said Ba Da. Ba means Bhagavatam is the essence of all vessels, and it is the ultimate goal of life, Gati. But how to get that Gati is through Varam, because it's a benediction. It can transfer us from the ocean of material existence to the transcendental spiritual world of destination of Golokita. And therefore, it is Bhagavatim. So if you split the Bhagavatam as Ba, Ga, Va, Ta. Ta means to cross over the ocean of material. It's mentioned in Padma Purana. Okay. Now we will go back to Bhagavatam, Srimad Bhagavatam, Mahatmya ki jai, Sri Bhagavatam Puranam ki jai. So let us dedicate our lives to please distribute this Bhagavatam and also read Bhagavatam. And means worshipping means just not lighting the lamp, but reading the Bhagavatam and open it and try to apply it. The main thing is Bhagavatam is equal to behavior. Okay, Hare Krishna. Let us go to the verse now. Almost 15 minutes. I was supposed to talk 5 minutes. Almost 15 minutes. Now let us stop. Okay, Hare Krishna. We are reading from 10th canto, 12th chapter. We are going to read the pastime of Agasura. So I will read the verse, and before reading the verse, I will recite the Dhyana Sloka, and then we will start. Om Ajnanatimirandasya Jnananjana Salakya Chakshumbulitam Mena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha Shri Chaitanya Manobhishtam Sthapitam Mena Bhutale Swayam Rupa Kadamayam Dadati Swapatantikam Vandegam Shri Guru Shri Tapatakamalam Shri Gurum Vaishnavam Cha Shri Rupam Sagrajadam Sagana Raghunathantikam Tam Sajivam Sadvaitam Savadutam Parijana Sakitam Krishna Chaitanya Devam Shri Radha Krishna Padan Sargana Lalita Shri Vishakhavitansya He Krishna Karuna Sindho Dinabandho Jagatpate Gopesha Gopika Kanta Radha Kanta Namosute Tapta Kanchana Gaurange Radhe Vrindavaneshwari Rishabhanusute Devi Pranamami Haripriye Vancha Kalpaturupyascha Kripa Sindhu Vyevacha Patitanam Pavanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo Namo Namaha Jaya Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhara Shivasadi Gaura Bhakta Vrinda Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Narayanam Namaskritya, Naram Chaiva Narottamam, Devim Saraswati Myasam Tato Jayam Mudire, Nashta Prayesha Badreshu, Nityam Bhagavata Sevya, Bhagavati Uttama Shloke, Bhaktin Bhavati Naistaki. Before reciting the Srimad Bhagavatam, which is a very means of conquest, one should offer respectful obeisance unto the personality of God at Narayana, unto Narayana, the supermost human being, unto Mother Saraswati, the goddess of learning, unto Srila Vyasadeva, the author. The regular attendance in classes in the Bhagavatam and by rendering of service to the pure devils. All that is troublesome to God is almost completely destroyed, and loving service unto the personality of God, who is praised with transcendental songs, is established as an irrevocable fact. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Yonta Pravishya Mamavacha Imam Prasuptam Sanjeevayati Akila Shakti Darasvadamna Anyam Sahasya Charanashramanadvagadi Prana Namo Bhagavate Bhushaya Dubhyam Tasmadakam Mikadaviklava Ishvarasya Sarvatmanam Yunami Yatamanisham Yicho Jaya Guna Visarga Anupravishta Uyeta Yena Kuman Varmitena Om Shmudai Krishna. We are reading from 10th canto, 12th chapter, 24th. Asman Kimatra Krasitha Nivasitan Ayam tatachet bhagavat vinansyati shanananyeti bhakari ushanmukam viksho dashanta karatadaniryavu asmanki tatra grasita nibisitan ayam tatachet bhagavat vinansyati shanananyeti bhakari ushanmukam viksho dashanta karatadaniryavu. Translation and purport. We have already read last week. Okay. Then the boy said, "Has this living creature come to swallow us? If he does so, he will be immediately killed like Bakasura without delay." Thus they looked at the beautiful face of Krishna, the enemy of Bakasura, laughing loudly and clapping their hands. They entered the of, mouth of the plain. After talking about the terrible animal in this way and that way, they decided to enter the demon's mouth. They had full faith in Krishna because they experienced how Krishna has saved them from the mouth of Agasura. Now here was another Asura Agasura. Therefore, they wanted to enjoy the export of entering the demon's mouth and being saved by Krishna, the enemy of Agasura. So last week we were discussing that what happened one day, Krishna wanted to go to the forest for tending the cows. So he blew the horn very early. And in fact, he told that he wants to have the breakfast in the forest. So that was his decision. And he called them all in the morning. So the first thing we realize is that we have to understand, if we remember Krishna, that the Gopas were remembering Krishna, as I told, the Gopas were always remembering Krishna and they were always feeling separation in the night, that they are separated from Krishna. And what they used to do, they used to go and knock the door of Yashoda Mata and ask, "Please, I want to see Krishna. I want to see Krishna." Why? Now it is 12 o'clock. Then Yashoda Mata opens the door and says, "Krishna is sleeping. Why you want to disturb him?" "No, no, no. We want to have a darshan of him." They will come and ask, "We want to go with him to the house." "No, no, this is not the time. Now it is early morning. Please go back." And then lovingly they go back. So, because they were remembering Krishna, because of the remembrance of Krishna, Krishna became enthusiastic. And next day morning, he blew the horn, the bugle horn, and then he called them all. "Please let us go. Let us be ready." So he made them all of them ready. So if you wake up for Mangalarti, Krishna will wake up us for Mangalarti. If we do the service to Krishna in the morning Mangalarti, then Krishna will ensure that he will wake us up because he's a person who wakes up. Because we cannot wake up on our own. Krishna wakes up. You know, it is mentioned now, 3:26:71. Yatha Purusuttam Purusham, Pranendriya Manodaya, Prabhavanti Vinayana, Notapati. All these material assets, intelligence, the knowledge acquiring senses, transcendental, the working senses cannot arouse him. When a human being helps, only when the super soul helps. You know, so this is the mood. So he wakes us up. So he will wake up as for the if you are remembering Krishna in the night. So this is how we should do. So that's why Maharaj recommended that we should chant holy names before we go into the sleep. So it is very good. So because the whole night will become devotional service. So morning also when we wake up, we have to chant the holy names of Krishna. So it is very auspicious. So Krishna will wake up. Otherwise, what Krishna will say, "Okay, take rest and you can wake up later." And Krishna Maharaj says he goes for tending the cows early. So this is the first thing we have, first realization we have to do. Then next is, we saw in the 10:12:6 of the Bhagavatam that they want to touch Krishna. They were all playing. They were playing a lot of games. And they were also playing the game of exchanging the bags. What they were doing when they entered the forest, the baggage, lunch baggage and the breakfast package, baggage. And what has happened? All of them played. They transferred the bag from one person to another person to another. And then they were playing, and finally the person will cry, and finally they will give the bag to me. So this is all coming from Bhagavatam. So Janma Satya, Janma Dasyata, everything comes from Krishna. So this is what we have to understand. The games are also coming, and also there are different games in 10th canto, 19th chapter also. All types of games they have played. And they were imitating the crows, they were imitating the bats, they were imitating the cricket type of birds. So many animals were there, they were imitating, and they were having a nice time. So they were coming into the forest, and then what has happened? They had a game that everyone wants to touch Krishna, and this is the moon. Touch Krishna means here, aham purvam, aham purvam. I want to touch Krishna. I want to touch Krishna. So that's mean we should be eager to do the service attitude. That's why service attitude is more important than enjoyment attitude. What we do when the Mangalati program is over, I will sit and eat the prasadam first instead of serving. So Krishna likes person who do the service. And the service without any motive, Prabhupada writes in the various letters that without any motive, if you do the service, then Krishna is attracted. Because you get satisfied. And also, Krishna is very happy. So that's why we should do the service first and then take our prasadam later. But what we do, we take the prasadam first, and then after prasadam, up to the neck we feed, and then we become lazy and we want to sleep and slow. So that's why we should have the service attitude. This is very important. That's what we discussed. And they want to touch first. And also we have to touch Krishna first. The bhakti we have to go early. But in case of material life, we always compete. I want to become, my son wants to become first. That competition we should avoid. Because whatever that Krishna has given, we're given to accept. I'm trying to convince my son, Karthik, that you are not earning good enough in electrical engineering. Go to IT. I told him he doesn't want to go. I told him you can earn a lot of money because he's in the Bay Area. You can get a lot of jobs, but he doesn't want to go. So this is how we want to force. But when in terms of money, we want to force the people to earn. But we don't want to. If you don't do a nice devotion service, we don't want. Go and touch Krishna, no, because this is our nature. Because we are all materially embodied. So this we should avoid. So that means we should always. Next is glory of bhakti in our lives. Value should be. Then here we can understand from 7, 12, 7 or 8, I don't know which verse. Krita Punya Punjaha. Krita Punya Punjaha means very important. Prabhupada writes all these boys had accumulated the results of life of piety. Sukadeva Goswami sees that how these people touching Krishna and they were joking with Krishna, they were playing with Krishna. Then Sukadeva Goswami was so enthusiastic in his, it is coming out of a transcendental ecstasy from the core of his heart because he was completely absorbed in Krishna consciousness. There is no envy. He was so happy that how fortunate these people are. How fortunate. The real appreciation from the core of the heart. But what we do, we don't do appreciation. We become, if somebody goes very well, we try to put them down. Parandurattai, Bhagavatam says. So that we will discuss when we talk about the enemy. So here, he was appreciating. They were so appreciating. And also, we should also think that we are selected by Krishna to come to the pages of Bhagavatam. We have been selected. Otherwise, how come so many millions of people are there? Very few are coming to Krishna. I'm trying to preach to a very highly educated CS, sitting as CEO, CGM, and all in HPCL. Nobody wants to take up Krishna. Nobody wants to discuss Bhagavad Gita. Nobody wants to know that the death at all. Nobody wants to discuss. They are so fed up with death. They say, I don't want to hear the word death. They think that they can avoid it. So much in illusion. And we are so fortunate. Shada Punya Punja. We are all so fortunate that we are coming to the pages of Bhagavatam. Maharaj has put in the path of Bhagavatam. We didn't go to Krishna. We didn't go to Krishna automatically. I didn't go to Krishna, but Krishna came. Maharaj came. So it is clearly the mercy of this divine mercy of Krishna, divine mercy of your Guru, that he has come and picked you up. You are rotting in this material world. Rotting, he has picked you up. So many janmas you are supposed to have birth. That is being terminated by this process of Krishna. So Shatapunya Punjaha. We are all Shatapunya Punjaha. We are all very fortunate to have the association of Krishna. Therefore, it is very important that we should not leave the Krishna consciousness in any circumstances. Whatever the circumstances, especially the negative circumstances, whether your faith will dwindle, your consciousness will dwindle, everything will dwindle. Please be resolute in the determination. How Prabhupada was resolute. We are going to discuss that. So it is very important for us to understand Shukadeva Goswami was appreciating from the core of the heart. And therefore, we are all very, very fortunate. And then here, the next verse, they are glorifying. How come these, when they were entering, Shukadeva Goswami is saying that how come they are having face-to-face relation with the Supreme Brahman, who is the absolute truth, who is Golak, who is in Golak Vrindavan. They are having a discussion with that person who is the control of the entire material and spiritual world. How come they are discussing face-to-face? This Gopas, how fortunate, is glorifying. So, glorifying the devotee is not different from glorifying Krishna. That's what we saw in 3rd canto, 13th chapter, 4th verse. I'm not going into that because we already discussed that. So, glorification of devotee is not different. And that's why even Prahlad Maharaj says, when Rashimuna Muni came, he says, Soham Katamna Vrishte Tava Pratyaseva. How can he leave the service of my spiritual master? Because of his mercy, I am having your darshan. He says, how can I leave the service of my spiritual master? When I am having a darshan of you, because of him, I am having the darshan. So that's why we have to serve the devotees. And therefore, glorification and serving the devotees is very essential, more than the service of the Lord. And Prabhupada writes in various purposes. And we worship of the devotee is more potent than the worship of the Lord. And that's what Prabhupada writes in the purport. Uh, 334, he says very nicely. So then next we come to the envy, which we discussed briefly. So I want to tell about this. Envy is very subtle. Envy is 4 types of envy. It is mentioned in the Bhagavad. First time is called subtle. So first time planned envy. The Duryodhana planned to kill the Pandavas. This planned envy. And then envy. Envy means he envied the living entities, just like Durvasa Muni envied, just like he envied. He has taken prasadam without me. I am the Brahmana, Isha Kshatriya. So all this discrimination, Pradak Deha, that means differential attitude. So that's why it is. Then that is envy. And then yes, subtle. Subtle means very subtle. We cannot see from our heart, but it is there. Subtle is there. So even though we may not tell expressly that I'm envious, but it is there. See how this envy, that's why Maharaj says this envy is constitutional. It is born with you. Just like we were having on our opposite house, there's a small child, now 6 months old. Previously, 3-4 months back, 2-3 months back, she was smiling and coming to us very nice. Now 6 months, when she come to us, she's crying and she frowns her face. So that means discriminate. This is my father, this is my mother, this is my grandmother, this is my sister. But these people are different. That means discriminative attitude. And that's what we do. And that's why always we do that. And that is constitutionally, we are envious. And this constitutional envious, how we can live. Maharaj gives a nice example that you are boarding a train. Suppose you are going to Mumbai station and you are boarding a train to Punjab. Are we bothered somebody is going to Chennai? Are we bothered somebody is going to Hyderabad? They may carry heavy baggage. They may carry less baggage. Doesn't matter to us. So what we matter is that we go to the train, Punjab Mail, and go to Punjab. That's all. We are not bothered. We are not bothered whether the train goes to Calcutta is in time, whether how the people go, how many baggages they give. We are not worried. And therefore, Maharaj says, we waiting, the platform is 2 hours, and waiting in this material world is 70 years. It doesn't make any difference. 2 years, 2 hours to 70 years, there is no difference. Therefore, we should read out this envy by this process. And then by serving the devotees, we can remove the envy. By serving whoever we are envious, we try to serve them and we remove the envy. Try to glorify them. That's how we should do. This is a natural process. And suddenly, we can talk so many things about envy. So envy is there. Day before yesterday, we saw the Kailash sister-in-law, Renu, getting married. And they were so happy. And I was thinking, my marriage, I was not that happy. How come these people are happy? So I'm envious. So it is envy. It is there something. We cannot avoid. So what we have to do is, by reading Bhagavatam, by serving the devotees, by developing the waiting room consciousness, that we are temporary in this world, we can do without it. Otherwise, it's very difficult to do without it. Because constitutionally we are envious. And Maharaj says this is deep-rooted and it comes again and again. And this is the process of Krishna consciousness to purify our existence. Envy can be rooted out only by that process, waiting room consciousness. So that is the only way, Maharaj says very nicely. And then by the envy manifests in different. First is Pratatya, we discriminate. And then Karma Disha, because we have fruitive mentality. And then Parandurattai means we cannot tolerate the flourishing conditions. Paradukka Dukhi is Vaishnava, but Paradukka Sukhi. Somebody suffers, we are very happy. And that's what we do. We always want others to suffer. And that is our nature. And therefore, this is not a quality of living. We cannot tolerate the flourishing condition of others. That is a problem. How come this fellow has got, how come this fellow, somebody gets promotion, we get agitated. It is natural. So that's why, and this, even in bhakti also, we discriminate. This is my guru. This is my guru's disciples. This is your disciples, this is different. And this type of discrimination, this disciple, this guru is different, that guru is different. Guru Tattva is one. Why you are discriminating? And therefore, what is happening? We are differentiating. This also out of envy. My guru, my disciples, my guru's disciples, I will protect. Who are you to protect? Krishna is protect. So we are in illusion. Therefore, the envy is deep-rooted and it has to be eliminated. Please, it is very difficult. It's so difficult. The envy is there, subtly is there. So it's very difficult to. And Maharaj spoke for 2 hours on this subject matter. 4647. If you can go to deep-rooted tendencies, how to uproot the deep-rooted tendencies, you can see in the Grantaraj. If you have time, you can go and read. Maharaj gives wonderful analysis of all this mean mentality, mean-mindedness. So many things happens because of envy. So we become mean-minded. So this is the first point. This is another point I want to talk. And now, so now waiting room consciousness. Now the 10, 12, 14. So the envy, because of the envy, what has happened? This Agasura was sitting there in the forest. He took the form of a python. And his envy, you see how it manifests. His envy is against Krishna only. Because Krishna has killed Bakasura, Krishna has killed Uttama. His brother and sister has been killed. So his envy should be directed towards Krishna. Agreeable. But now he expands it. And his envy, that's why it is subtle and it is growing. And it goes wide. And therefore we have to be very careful about this envy. So what he did, he said that I will swallow all the gopas. You see his mind, how its envy is working. So I will swallow all the gopas. Once I swallow all the gopas through my mouth, then Krishna will be killed. Then the whole Vrajavajis will die because of separation from Krishna and the gopas. Because their children died, they will die. So the whole Vrindavan become a Smashan garden. This is my objective. See how slightly, even in bhakti, we develop. Maharaj says that we bring our material baggage into spiritual life. Material baggage means this envy and all, we are at the material point, and that we bring it to spiritual transcendental realization. And therefore, we fight with each other. Even the devotees, we fight, and that's why we fight. Because of envy, we do this, and therefore we have to avoid this envy from the deep root. And then Agasura decided, and he was having a nice place. At that time, what happened? They entered the forest, and they saw Agasura, and they didn't know whether these are, because the picnic spot, when they were in the picnic spot, they saw a big python, a mountain was there in the dark cave, and then they can see reddish lips in the bar, and they can see. Then when from the distance they saw, okay, this is a cave. Let us go and enjoy the picnic. Because they were thinking and they were enjoying the picnic. Krishna said that is a place for enjoyment for my devotees, and therefore I will give liberation for this. See the beauty of Krishna. Because it gives enjoyment to my devotees, that picnic spot of Agasura, I'll give him liberation. Krishna has decided already. Before taking action, he is doing it. So how much we have to serve the devotees? You understand the point? So he says, Krishna is thinking, is thinking, is Hari Meda Medase. His intelligence is working like anything. So it is a picnic spot for my devotees, and therefore I will give him liberation. So this is how Krishna decides to liberate Agasura at the time itself. The moment these devotees thought, because he is there in the Paramatma. So when they went, they saw it's a python, and it was a lot of air was coming, bad smell was coming because it has eaten a lot of it has swallowed so many animals. So a lot rotten smell is coming, air is coming out, and it is gushing it. And then they went inside, and then they decided to go inside. And they were thinking, oh, it's a python, so we should not go. Another person, no, it's not a python. It's just a cave. Let us go. It's a dark cave. Let us go and play in the cave. So like that, they were arguing here and there. And then finally, in this verse that we are discussing now, they decided that Gopas were not afraid. Bhagavatam tells they were fearless. Because why they are fearless, that we discussed last week. Na shochati, na kankshati. Na shochati, na kankshati means they are neither lamentation or hankering. Both of them doesn't exist. And therefore, they are very happy. And therefore, they're fearless. So if you want to become fearless, two things are required. Na shochati, na kankshati. No lamentation, hankering. It's very difficult, now. This is the secret of Bhaya. Soka Moha Bhaya Paha. So that's what Bhagavatam does. Because they are fully absorbed in Krishna consciousness. So that's why Soka Moha Bhaya Paha. All these things goes away. Soka Moha Bhaya. Because they are absorbed in Krishna consciousness. Next we saw. And then they were talking. The python will swallow us or not. They were analyzing the mouth of the python and the red in color, upper and lower part of the mouth. They were discussing so many things. It's a traffic way, it's a cave inside, and it's dark in nature. They were discussing so many things. And then they could smell also smash. So they were doubtful. And then 24, because they saw the Lord. So then immediately they come to the conclusion. They have the darshan of the Lord. It is mentioned here. Dadati, yes, Bakari Ashad Mukam. Just by seeing the Lord, beautiful face of Krishna, Bakari Usat Mukam, the beautiful face of Krishna, which killed Bakasura, that they remembered. They immediately, when they saw Krishna from a distance, before entering the mouth, they saw Krishna. So they know they are going into the hell. But even in the such circumstances where they are going to die, they are going to die. But still they remember Krishna. And they said, he is the one who killed the enemy of Bakasura. So, Bakan Ushan Mukan. Shanad Anenati. Bakshanan. Within 1 minute, Bakasura. So, the moment they saw Krishna, they remembered Bakasura was killed. So, even this Agasura goes there, they'll be killed. So much of fear, fearlessness instilled in the hearts just by having the darshan of the Lord. And also, they were very happy. Karatadhanai. Karatadhanai means they become very happy. It is very important. And therefore, very nicely we discussed that it is very important that we should have Chetasa Sarvakarmani, Mai Sanyasa Makpara, Udyogam Pashita, Machita Satadapa. So we have to depend on Krishna. And regarding depend on Krishna, we discussed last week. So I don't want to go into the details. I want to state one very good purport. It says 3:21:28. That purport, whenever time permits, you can go. It's the first para only, I think. The first para, beautiful purport where Kardamuni is praying to Krishna for getting a good wife. And Prabhupada writes the purport. So it is said, thus it is said that if we pray to the Supreme Lord in every transaction of our material existence, everything will be done very nicely and just suitable to our heart desire. What is the statement? Thus it is said, if you pray to Krishna in every transaction of our material existence, then everything will be done nicely and just suitable for our heart desire. And then, in other words, in all circumstances, we must take shelter of the Supreme Personality of Godhead and depend completely on His decision. Man proposes, God disposes. The fulfillment of desires, therefore, should be entrusted to the Supreme Personality of Godhead. It is the nicest solution. Then Kardamuni desired only a wife, but because he was a devotee of the Lord selected him a wife for him, was the emperor's daughter, a princess. Kardamuni got a wife beyond his expectation. If we depend on the choice of the Supreme Personality of Godhead, we will receive a benediction greater opulence than we desire. So this is the point I want to say. So now, this is very important for us to understand. So now, how to develop the unflinching faith which they had, how they developed fearlessness, how they had complete dependence on Krishna, how they were so much confident on Krishna. So, Chetasa Sarvakaran, Maisandisa Matpara, they remembered Bakasura, they remembered Bakasura was killed by Krishna, and they were happy to go inside the mouth of Ahari. So, this is the word we have to learn. So, how to do this? And that's what we have to understand. And therefore, we are always doubtful how to depend on Krishna. Because we are not putting our mind on Krishna, we are not able to get, we are not able to get that faith. And we are not able to get that fearlessness. And we are not able to get out of this lamentation. We are not able to get out of the head. And therefore, Krishna gives a formula in the Bhagavad Gita. It's a very important verse. This verse I'm going to discuss briefly, not fully. It's a very big verse. 5th chapter, 17th verse. Tat buddhes tat atmanas. Tat nishta tat parayanaha. Gachanti apunaravruttim. Jnana nirdusha kalpasha. It's a very important. Tat buddhes. Tat buddhes with Prabhupada writes the word to word, whose intelligence is always in the Supreme. So here the Gopas, their intelligence is in the Supreme. Tat atmanas, those whose minds are always in the Supreme. That means their mind and intelligence was on the Supreme. Tat nishtas. Usually Krishna says, Manmana bhakto madhyajimam namaskuro. Aisa, usually he says that. But in this case, he is saying that tat buddhis. Buddhi has to be used. And therefore, it is very important. Buddhi precedes the mind. And also, actually, Chaitanya Sarvabhauma gives a nice example that our intelligence is like a mother and the mind is like a child and chanchal. And suppose that mind becomes sick because we are always attached to material things. So it is always sick. It is always in sick mode only. Never in enthusiastic mode. So we are always sick. Mentally we are sick. So what has happened? When a child is sick, What they do, the mother takes the child to the doctor. And the doctor is Krishna, the doctor is spiritual master, and then he gives the medicine. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram. Hare. You have the faith in me and take this medicine, it will work nicely. So this is how the doctor, Krishna, and spiritual master gives that. And therefore the intelligence should control the mind. And therefore Krishna has given the intelligence. This is not the case of animals, but in case of human beings, this aspect is there. Therefore, it is very important to control the mind through the intelligence. And that's why Tat Buddhayas, Tat Atmanas. Then comes the mind. Because by Buddhi only we have to control. Now, control the mind, and then that will fix our mind. Then that will generate faith. That by chanting Hare Krishna mantra, we'll become fearless. Na Chochite, Na Kankshite will come. These are all things will come slowly by removing the bodily conception to the spiritual class. It is a gradual process. It's not one day. Today, because that's why I discussed last week, our faith is fluctuating, our intelligence is fluctuating, our mind is fluctuating, and the dependence on Krishna also fluctuating. Every day it fluctuates. Because according to each and every day, we are harassed by modes. In fact, I was discussing this point with Manohar Prabhu and the ISKCON Rajkot class. He was telling that it is fluctuating. It is natural. If it doesn't fluctuate, we should be surprised. If you are fixed on Krishna, then you are Mahabhagavatam. Then we have to worship you. So if it fluctuates, then you are a conditioned soul suffering in this way. So we must know our position. In my case, it is not fluctuating at all because I don't have faith in Krishna. I don't put my intelligence on Krishna. So mind is not in Krishna. My case is extreme. But your cases are all in between. So you are at the higher stage. So this is how we should understand that we have to put our intelligence on Krishna. And that is very important. And the intelligence always questioned with doubts. Doubt whether this will work. And then we have got so many doubts. Okay, Krishna consciousness also. That Prabhuji is telling something. This Mataji is telling something. Both are correct. Because everything is spoken on the absolute platform. We interpret on our own way, mental. Oh, this is correct. This is not correct. No. In transcendent form, everything is absolute. Okay? We cannot question. For example, Gajendra. Now we have a doubt. Gajendra was born as an animal and then he was liberated. Whereas Bharat Maharaj, he's a Mahabhagavad. He's also a devotee. Siddhartha was also a devotee. But he took only one birth. Whereas Gajendra, for Bharat Maharaj, Jadapartha has to take 2 births. Then the question will come, how come Gajendra, who is not exalted as Bharat Maharaj, he is getting liberated in this life, within 2 lives, whereas this person is getting liberated after 3 births. Why this is happening? All these questions comes up. But you have to understand, it is Krishna's plan. It is not our plan. Krishna wants to use that particular living entity. It's like, so that's why we have to use, we cannot say why there is discrimination between this and that. There is no, Krishna individually handles according to their own karma and all. So why this fellow is favored, you know? So why is one person, our chief minister, he doesn't want to wish happy Ganesh Chaturthi because he's staunch non-believer of God, but he's enjoying all the opulence. So you may think why? Because Krishna has given him some karmas, he's enjoying, and Krishna wants to take, he will take him. So this is how we have to think that his devotee is being favored, a devotee is being harassed. Krishna knows how to handle with each and everyone. So this is how we should come to the conclusion. So that's why we should not have too much doubts. We have to believe Krishna. In case of Bharat Maharaj, Krishna wants that he has to instruct Raghuguna. And that's why he took the second one. In case of Gajendra, there is no instruction to be given, so he is liberated. That's all. That is Krishna's plan. We cannot question why Karna is like this. All these questions comes up. Why Karna is being victimized? Why Ekalavya is victimized? So many questions we have. These are all doubts, and these doubts will influence us in our intelligence whether Krishna does exist, Krishna is fair, Krishna is Samadarshana. All these questions comes. Krishna is Samadarshana. He, according to the even for Bhishma, he was Bhishma, such an exalted person, he went to the it's all Krishna's plan. So it is Krishna's plan. He wants to act in that level, and therefore he is using his devotees according to that level. And that's what we have to understand. That's what he did. So these doubts should not drag us down from our bhakti. And therefore we have to fix our intelligence. And that's what the Gopas did. The Gopas are fixed in the intelligence. Tat Buddhayas. That Atmanas. Atmanas means mind. Mind is full of desires. And we are pierced by desires all the time. And therefore, it is not that today I should leave all the desires and I should be completely Krishna conscious and I should not accept anything else. If you do like this, if you are not flexible, then the circumstances will come, you will trouble yourself. We should not do that too much. That is not possible. We cannot be zero desire. We can reduce the desire. Because we are not in the transitional platform. Nirapeksham, 100% we can achieve this lifetime. It's not so easy. It is difficult. We have apeksha. We have desire. So Krishna knows that. We are not in the transcendental platform. So maybe you people are doing it, but I am not doing it. I am not in the Nirapeksha stage. So we try to tell about Nirapeksha, but we are not in the Nirapeksha stage. So we have to accept the fact. And therefore, it is not that you enjoy the desires, whatever you want. That also should be avoided. So we have to control. Mind has to be controlled. And especially for the intelligence, I'll give you an example from the page of the Bhagavatam. So you can understand what is the value of the intelligence. And then we'll go to mind and also we'll see an example before I go into mind. So in the case of intelligence, we can see Brihaspati was insulted in front of Indra. We saw last week. I think I discussed, I don't know. Indra was insulted him because of Dhanam Janam Sundar. And then what did Brihaspati did? Brihaspati used his intelligence because he was influenced by Krishna consciousness. He used his transcendental intelligence, like the Gopas. He said that Krishna has made me to go away from this place. So he was holding a special master position. He has to be respected. He has to be honored. He has to be, his food has to be washed, everything. But at that time, his ego was about to be crushed. But he didn't use the mind or the ego. He used his transcendental intelligence to go and serve Vishnu. He said, I am going to serve Vishnu. And that is how we should use Tat Buddha. Yes. That means whose intelligence is always free. So he was Krishna conscious, and therefore, and the same thing happened for the Gopas. Their intelligence is fixed on Krishna. They may not be very studied and all, but their intelligence is fixed. Mind and desires. So the mind is desires. So it cannot be nullified. What Bhagavatam tells is that we have to tolerate the desires. And that's what is very important for us to understand. Tolerate the desires. Tolerate the desires means we can reduce the desires. Tolerate means just ignore. How to ignore the desire? That also I'll give an example. For example, suppose you are driving a car, okay, in Abu Dhabi to Dubai, and then your small child, your daughter child is sitting next to you, and then says, Papa, I want this. Papa, I want this. They are asking. So what you will do? Will you listen to the child or you will drive the car? So mind is sitting next to you and asking you, go to the shop, go to the mall, go to this, buy this doll. It is saying all the time, I want to play game. All this, the child is going on telling. But what does the father say? I want to go to Dubai. I want to go to the temple. My objective is to go to the temple. So what we should do? We should ignore the child. The mind is always harassing with desires. But it proposes, it not imposes. It proposes. But sometimes what we do, we fall a victim. If you're falling victim, what we should do? When you chant the holy names, that time we'll say, oh, I have to do this office work. I have to do this. You tell the mind, now this is not your time. Just keep quiet. This is how. It's not so easy. It is by practice. Just ignore the mind. And Bhagavatam recommends, please ignore the mind. So that's why the child has to be ignored. He has to drive back to Dubai, to the temple. That is his objective. Otherwise, he will go to each mall, he cannot go to the temple. So that's why our goal is Krishna. Chanting is Krishna's name. Then he is the soul, the ultimate object of attraction. Then we should not get diverted. This is how we understand, we control the desires. Reduce the desires. We cannot nullify the desires. Reduce. That's what we have to try. And then Tat Krishna's faith. Faith in Krishna is very, very important. And then that's why it is called Rupa Goswami says, Adav Shraddha. Shraddha means very big at the time. It is like a banana tree. Banana tree can be shaken with the roots. But when it becomes Nishtha, when we do Adav Shraddha, Tata Sadhu Sangha, Bhajana Kriya. If you do all this, then Anartha Nivritti goes. Once your Anartha goes away, then automatically it becomes Nishtha. Then it becomes a banyan tree. You cannot shake it. It's very difficult to do. So the firm faith has to be developed. Just like we go to the doctor, recently had some dysentery, diarrhea, almost 10 times. Then temperature also 100. We were worried. What is this symptom of corona and all? We were so much worried. So we went to our doctor, family. The moment we went to the doctor, she dissipated it immediately. She told, this is not corona. Because do you have cough? Do you have cold? Do you have sneezing? She said nothing. So then that is not good. So we became happy. Because we had the absolute faith in the doctor. And then whatever the prescription she gave, we took it and she became all right. So that means our anxiety is reduced. So this is an ordinary doctor. What about the Supreme Doctor Krishna, who is giving us so much shelter and protection? And therefore, we should have 100% faith based on the Shastras. The Jnana Viduta Kalpasha, Jnana, this transcendent knowledge will give. And Sangha, the faith will come with the association of devotees. The moment we discuss, then our faith increases. So then we discuss with Krishna, then faith increases and slowly increases. And every day we read Bhagavatam, we associate with Prabhupada, and we get this. And then that Vishtas, Tat Parayan. Tat Parayan means then we become Gopas. So their buddhi, their mind, and faith is absolutely. Agasura will be killed, Agasura will be killed. So Krishna will arrange everything. And that's what the faith Prabhupada had. Prabhupada had extreme faith. You see Prabhupada. Prabhupada, you have to see Prabhupada. Okay? I want to discuss that very important point. No? Especially his legal devotees in Jhansi failed. That Jhansi building, Bharat Bhavan, was captured by the governor's wife because for some Mahila Seva, she wants to take over the building. And then his family life was a failure. And then there was no support. Even his own son did not support. So he came and helped for some time and he went. No support. And in fact, his wife criticized him and sold the bar. And then his farmer's business was a failure. 7,000 rupees loss. At the time, he was laughing and said, Krishna wants to take away even my last bit of attachment for business. He says, he's smiling and telling, can you do that? We cannot do that. So, but he was firm faith. And then he's asking for support from the prime minister and all. So the failure. So it was faith. His faith was shaken in every aspect. But his unflinching faith in Krishna was there. And therefore, that Buddhist, and that's why he wrote with realization. This Bhagavad Gita, each and every word, all the Bhagavad Gitas are there. But you see how much he has realized. No? Tat Buddhyas. You see, what a word. Whose intelligence is always in Supreme. So Prabhupada intelligence was on the Supreme. His mind was also always in the Supreme. And his faith is only meant for the Supreme. And then we're completely taken shelter. And this is what Prabhupada. And because his resolute determination was there, that Vyavasaya Buddhi, that Vyavasaya Buddhi will come. That is a faith the Gopas have. And that's a faith we have to develop. And that's why I'm concentrating on this particular verse. Because we are always challenged by our mind, we are challenged by our intelligence, or challenged by our faith. Because every day we are sick. And Maharaj says, we are surcharged, Kali Yuga is surcharged with faithlessness. And that's what happens. So, Nagaspati fixed his mind, fixed his intelligence on the Supreme. He didn't carry away because he didn't get carried away by the ego and mind, who are cousin sisters, pulling him down. It was pulling. And the same thing happened for Vidura also. Vidura, what he did? He saw the external energy of Krishna acting on Duryodhana. And his mind and ego was flaring him. Whereas in case, his mind and ego didn't flare. He used the intelligence. Gatam Gata. He says, I will put the arrow and go to the forest and do the So this is how the influence of our bhakti will make us transcendental intelligence. That's what we saw. And then the mind, Bharat Maharaj is the best example. What did he see? Bharat Maharaj. This is where the protection of consciousness is there. Krishna protects. Satvata Patihi. Satvata Patihi means we think the material protection. No, it's not material protection. It is conscious protection. And that's what happened. And Devi Prabhu was told in Manamantras. Krishna protects our consciousness. And that's what happened for Vidura. And that's what happened for Brihaspati. Krishna protected their conscience. Yes, that Buddha is. Now we'll take the case of how the protection of the mind happened for the sake of Bharat. Bharat Maharaj was the Mahabharata. He was in ecstasy, transcendental ecstasy. The moment he chanted holy names, he was in ecstasy. But he saw the deer and fell. We know about it from the basic Bhagavad. So when we fell from the position of the Mahabharata, and then became a deer, his consciousness was protected. He said, I don't associate with deers. I associate with the devotees. That is how we should always associate with devotees. But bhakti sanjayate bhakti. Because bhakti will come only with association of devotees. Bhakta sanjayate. So this is how we should understand that we should have that this mind is protection of consciousness because of the Bhagavatam. So our devotional service, if you do sincerely, it will be protected by Krishna. Krishna protects our consciousness. That's what happened for the sake of Bharat Maharaj. And what has happened? His mind was disturbed. But what he did? He became clear, personified, absolutely in Krishna consciousness. He was associating with the sages. And because of association, he got Jadaparna. And he said, mind will not disturb. And then he told the beautiful verse, Pratara Vedam, Podarpana Peksha, Apramata. So he told the verse 5, 11, 17. We know that. So that's why, even though it is powerful, he could control. Because Tadatmanas, it is fixed on the Supreme. Jadaparna, somebody was urinating on his feet. So we cannot do like that, but somehow or other tolerate our mind desires, tolerate our ego. This is what we have. We cannot imitate Brahaspati, we cannot imitate Bharat Maharaj, but certain extents. And Tat Nishtas. Best example is Prabhupada and also Bali Maharaj. He was ripped off of everything. Teraskata, Vipralabda, Shipta, Shapta, Atapi, Nasatat, everything was taken out. His family discarded him, everything discarded him. But firm in faith in giving up the war for Krishna. And therefore, his faith should have dwindled to 0 or minus. But his faith, Lord Vamandev was so good. And that's why Vamandev said, I will be 24-hour God in Sutala planet. And that will be the Sutala planet, will be like Indraloka, and the next Indra is yours. So that was our assurance there. So this is how we understand that our faith dwindles. We should take from the pages of the Bhagavatam, eat from the pages of the Bhagavatam. Whenever the faith is shaken, our intelligence is shaken, our mind is shaken, when you are disturbed, especially when you are suffering from the prarabdha karma, we should take shelter of this Bhagavatam. Jnana Nirdusha, this jnana, this transcendental knowledge, Nirduta Kalmasha. Kalmasha Nirduta means completely cleans off all that. And then what will happen? Punarabhriti. You will go back to Krishna. You will be blissful. Go back to Krishna means you become Krishna conscious. And that's what happened for Jadaparna. So that's what happened for Bali. So this is what we understand from this very important. How to become Chetasa Sarva Karma. And now Krishna glanced to revive. And then what has happened? They entered and they all died. Krishna wanted to stop them, but he could not stop them. Krishna was bewildered 1 second. It is just a pastime. Don't think otherwise. Don't interrupt that Krishna is getting bewildered. No, Krishna is not bewildered. Krishna, out of love for affection, he was bewildered. You know, he's not like us to get bewildered. No? If he's bewildered, then he's not Supreme Court. So we cannot say. So what has happened? Krishna glanced to retrieve the Gopas 10, 12, 32, which is very nicely mentioned. Krishtya Swaya Utapaya. See, Krishna just saw them and they all were in limit. He went inside Agasura. They were all killed. Krishna went inside with so much of anxiety because he could not. They were always tough Krishnas. So how can he leave them? Jnana Nirduta Kalmashaha, such an exalted personality. How can he leave them? So what he did, he entered into the mouth of Agasura. Agasura closed the mouth, but Krishna expanded, and we know in this case only he expanded. Here the Putana, Bakasura, and all these cases he didn't expand. He was like a child. But in this case, he was though 4 years. He expanded a very high size so that he broke open the skin of Agasura. Agasura was killed, was choked to death. We know from the case of Bhagavatam. And he retrieved. And then Bhagavatam is Utapaya. So here, Krishna Swaya Utapaya. And then the same Krishna in the Bhagavatam, Bhishma Pitamaha says very nicely, there also is a merciful glance. It is written, mentioned Krishna's merciful glance. And merciful glance is very much required. So, the moment we chant the holy names, Krishna's merciful glance is on us. The moment we take the chanting beats, the moment we do Mangalarti, the moment we do service to Krishna, Krishna's merciful glance is on us. And that's what we can see. 1935, Sapadi Saki Vacho Nisham Yamatye, Japarayor Balam Tatam Niveshaya, Sitavati Parasainika Rakshna, Ritavati Pata Sake Ratin Mamastu. And it is Sainika or Akshna. Akshna means Krishna's merciful glance. Here also merciful glance. Here the merciful glance, Para Sainika Akshna, Bala Richa, Ritavati Pathas. Ritavati means he removed the longevity of the life. And Prabhupada says, merciful glance here also. There he gave the merciful glance and gave them life. Here he removed the life of the people. See, but both are case merciful. Why Prabhupada used the word merciful, we have to understand. Here what is happening? These people are entrapped in the cycle of birth and death. Prabhupada writes in the purport 1935. When you have time, you please read it. 1935. I'll put this so that you can read it later. So 1935 says they went to the Prabhupada. The Prabhupada writes that they were supposed to have a lot of births. And Krishna says, no, I don't want to. Because they come and they have the darshan of me in the battlefield of Kurukshetra. So they have the glance of me. So why should unnecessarily prolongate that samsara chakra? I want to terminate. This is my job. And that is me, no? And that is my karuna nidana. Karuna nidana, my nature is merciful. I am adabra karuna. So that's why I have to give them mercy. And this mercy is taking away the longevity, and therefore they don't have to take birth again. See, there he gave the life. For them, that is also a merciful glance. Here he take away the life, that is also merciful. So whenever we are put into difficulty, we have to understand from this pastime. Whenever we are put into difficulty, when you are here, everything is Krishna's will. But it is not so easy. I'm going through, I know it is not so easy to see difficulty as Krishna's will. We are not in that place. We have to be very careful. We cannot say, just like Parishit Maharaj, Nirveda Mula Dijasapru. I am seeing the Brahmanas as merciful for Krishna, for my detachment. We see like that? No, I don't see. I was thrown from Abu Dhabi to Chennai. I'm thinking it is Krishna's mercy. No, I'm not thinking like that. Because we are not in that transcendental mercy. But we have to, by having the faith in Krishna, we can realize this. This merciful glance can be realized. So this is how we should go on meditating on this and understand the merciful glance. Now I'm only theoretically doing it. I'm not realized this personally. I don't know how many janmas it would take. But I'm praying to all of you. I fall at your feet that I should get some little mercy on me so that I will become a devotee of Krishna. This is very important. Merciful glance. The moment we see and realize, then we are on the path. So this is very important for us to understand the Krishna consciousness. Sapadi Saki Vacho Nisham. Now, and then afterwards, everything was killed, and then the glorification of Lord is mandatory, and all the people are glorifying. And the Bhagavatam tells, the purport, Prabhupada writes in one of the purports, I don't know the verse. Here, the demigods were all very happy to see that Agasura is killed. So, what they did, they showered flowers and they glorified Brahma, everybody, all the demigods, kettle drums were. So, Krishna's, everything was, everybody was happy. Agasura is killed, the biggest python is killed, they were very happy. And then that's why glorification, they all glorified the Lord wonderfully. And therefore, it is Hari Bhakti Sudodaya. 3.11 says, Bhagavad Bhakti Hinasya Jati Shastram. It is in the purport only, one of the purports, 10th canto, 12th chapter. I didn't remember put it. Aprane Seva Degasya Mandanam Lokaranjanam. It is Bhagavad Bhakti Hinasya. Without Bhagavad Bhakti, which is all we are all praying. I am praying for that Bhagavad Bhakti. Without glorification of the Supreme Lord, whatever we do is simply a declaration of the death. Therefore, always the glorification. Maharaj says, what purpose we come to the program? One is the glorification of the Lord, another one is improve our behavior. Nothing else. If you have any other agenda, then that is polluted. Then that is not Tat Buddhist, Tat Atmanas. And then therefore, Karat Arat. We cannot be happy entering into the mouth of Agasura. We cannot do that. Because when we enter into the material existence, we become morose. Shochati Kankshati. Na Shochati. Shochati Kankshati. So this is how it happens to us. So glorification of Lord is mandatory. And then the last and important thing, that how Agasura was liberated. So Agasura, I told you, because of the reason that he took, because that was an enjoying place, a picnic spot for the Gopas, Krishna said, I have to give him liberation. I told you all. Now, the second aspect is Krishna, the Agasura saw Krishna face to face and he wanted to swallow him. Because that Krishna seeing, that Agasura seeing Krishna, Krishna says he has the darshan. Therefore, every day we go before Krishna and we do the arati. Krishna, not only we are taking darshan of Krishna, Krishna is taking our darshan. If you are really a devotee, he will take darshan. Otherwise, he will be a stone. Or he will be a brass metal. If you do devotion service nicely, Tat Buddhist, Tat Atmanas, in the morning, when you are free and absolutely, then what happens? He reciprocates nicely. And this is what he does. And then what happens? How much he is giving? Sakritekanga Pratimanturhangita Mano Mayi Bhagavatim Tadaugatim Saeva Nityatma Sukunat Abhi Vidushta Mayo Antargato Kim Punaha. He says the Sukadeva Goswami, he got the Sarupya Mukti, same form as the Lord. Because all others did not get the same form. Only Agasura got. Because Agasura took the darshan of the Lord. Okay? Even though envious, doesn't matter. Because he had it is mentioned, Sakur yet Anga Pratima. Anga Pratima means darshan of the Lord. Bhagavat Anga Pratima means every time we are having the darshan of our deities, we are getting purified. Therefore, it's Sakrit Anga. So wonderful word, And this is very important for us to encourage in the bhakti. So every day we have to take darshan. Even only once, or even by force, once bring the form of the Supreme Personality of Godhead once by force. By force also, one can attain the supreme salvation of the mercy of Krishna. As did Agasura. What is then said? Whose hearts of the Supreme Personality of God enters as incarnation, those are always thinking of the lotus feet of the Lord, who is the source of transcendental bliss for all living entities, and by whom illusion is completed. It is, I think, 10, 12, 39. It's a very important verse. And Prabhupada writes in the purport, very important. Even by force, if one brings the form of Lord into mind, one can attain the salvation of mercy. Then Prabhupada writes the punch, very wonderful purport. He says, without devotion, one cannot think of Krishna. And conversely, whenever one thinks of Krishna, he is undoubtedly as devotion. So whenever we remember Krishna, we are in devotion. Whenever we remember Krishna, so we cannot think of Krishna without devotion. That means our Krishna said, Agasura has got devotion. So Agasura devotion is there, so I am giving him Saripya. So this is how darshan of the Lord is very important. But it is very important that we should try to remember. That means don't take this verse as an instrument to exploit our bhakti. Don't exploit Krishna. If you cheat Krishna with this, that I'm having darshan, so it will purify me, Sakadeva, Parpanna, all this, then it is not assured that we will not have the Krishna bhakti. You have to say that we don't know. So that's why if you see the case of Bharat Maharaj, he has to take 3 births, even though he's fully Krishna conscious. And Gajendra has to take 2 births. So if you simply, these examples are given that this is only to encourage us in the bhakti, so that we can go towards Krishna. Sakadeva Angaha, Bhagavati Pratima Angaha. Bhagavat Pratima Angaha means darshan of the Lord. Please don't exploit it, because we are in Krishna consciousness for so many years. So it is very important for us. Sarupya, it is very rare to attain the Sarupya, same form of the Lord. So Sakadeva Angaha. Therefore, Krishna is very merciful. So doesn't mean that we can imitate Bharat Maharaj, we can imitate Brahaspati, or we can imitate Bali Maharaj or Prabhupada. But what Krishna sees is that how much we are progressing towards, how much our consciousness is going towards. That's what Krishna is. So, I will summarize and I will tell some important point and close. So, summarize, we saw that if we remember Krishna, Krishna will remember us for Mangalar. Service attitude is more important than enjoyment. Aham Purvam Aham Purvam. Shata Punya Punjaha, we are all fortunate to take the Krishna consciousness. Glorifying the pure devotee is more potent than glorifying the Lord. Envy is dangerous, is subtle, and it has to be rooted out with the waiting room consciousness. Fearlessness will develop when we have no shauchati, no conscience. And that's what we have to develop. To develop fearlessness, we have to depend on Krishna. Chetasa Sarvakarma. And how to depend on Krishna? Tat Buddhes, Tat Atmanas, Tat Dishnas, Tat Parayana. And that's what we're Jnana Nirdusha. By Jnana and Nirdusha, and by putting intelligence, controlling the intelligence of the mind, we saw the examples of Brahaspati, we saw the example of Bharat Maharaj, and we saw the example of Bali Maharaj. So that's what we saw. Krishna glance is a must. Even if he glances, it removes the life or gives the life, it is a same, because it is always merciful. And therefore, we should not too much worry about our sufferings in this material world. And because the nature of the material world is, therefore, dependence on Krishna and Nishtha should increase day by day. Because we cannot say that, previously we were, I will discuss that later, glorification of the Lord is mandatory. And that is the purpose. Our purpose of coming to the program is to glorify Krishna and also improve our behavior. Even one time remembrance of Krishna is also Pratima. Bhagavat Anga Pratima. This Pratima of the Lord, Every time we are taking darshan. Prabhupada, one of the Bhagavatam says 6:16:51, disinfection. We are getting disinfected from material and material goods. Every time we take darshan of the Lord, every time we pay obeisances, we are getting disinfected from material infection. The material infection means kama, krodha, moha, mada, vatsarya, and the three modes of material, which is binding us in this material. And then our mind, the subtle body also is absorbed. Then we can fix mind on the soul. So, but the thing is that it is a tall order. Prabhuji, you are expecting to be like Gopa. No, Krishna doesn't expect us to go. Krishna knows. Krishna doesn't expect us to be Bali Maharaj. What we have to see is that how when we may feel the whole class is very depressing for us. It seems to be depressing. Don't get depressed. It's not the question of depression. What we have to see is whenever we feel depressed, whenever faith is shaken, what we have to do, we have to see now. When we started the chanting of the Hare Krishna, the 16 rounds was a challenging. 98 I started, February 19, May 98 I started. The 16 rounds was a Herculean task. But now it has become a duty, and now I am trying to see if we can chant some mantras with energy. What is the ocean of change? Our values have changed from 1998 to 2020. So that means our consciousness is changing. So we are progressing towards Krishna. And it is subtle. You cannot see it. You know, just like I gave an example that the child, the small child, 6 months, 8 months, the child is growing. It will grow. It is not grow in one day. We cannot expect the child to grow in one day. The same way our bhakti is growing. But we have to, and because it is subtle, and this spiritual account, we cannot see. It is not tangible. Just like goodwill. They say goodwill, no? They put goodwill, they put a value. Suppose in chartered accountants firm, when they sell one company to another company, they put the goodwill. Goodwill means the amount of reputation they have earned. So this is not tangible. You cannot see, but they put a value. Say 1 crore, 2 crores. The same way, our bhakti is a spiritual account. It is intangible. We cannot see from our account. It is not tangible. It is not like our bank account. Credit comes, debit comes. No, not like debit credit. It is intangible credit which is coming into a spiritual account. So don't get depressed or dejected. Oh, what is tall order this Prabhuji is telling? What is level of consciousness? Don't worry about it. We are in the journey of Krishna. Slowly we are progressing towards. Whatever values have changed from the previous. So we have changed. So the desires we are reducing now. It's not like that before. So it is we are tolerating the desires, definitely. We are not hankering for so many things. We have reduced our desires. So slowly it will happen. So for you, for me, the desires have not stopped. For you people, the desires has come down. For me, it has not come down. It is increased. So, because my bhakti is not good, so that's why it is increasing. If bhakti is increasing, then automatically desires comes. Automatically material fever comes. And that is a sign of progress towards Krishna. And that's how we progress. So that buddhis, tat atmanas, tam prishtat parayana. Yeah? Apunar avara vittim. Avrittim means you will go back to Krishna. Jnana dudusha kalpasha. This is our sure. That's what the Gopas do. So we have to develop the faith. The faith is now still wavering, and the mind is wavering, and intelligence is wavering. It is fluctuating. Doesn't matter. But as long as we hold the beats, as long as we do the Mangalarti, as long as we read the Bhagavatam, as long as we associate with the devotees, we are on the path. And therefore, whenever the faith dwindles, go to the pages of Bhagavatam, go to the pages of devotees, associate with the strong devotees who are inspiring in Krishna consciousness. Slowly we can progress towards that Buddhist, that that is the Karatata thing, where even they enter the mouth, we just grab the hands. Then that is how we get perfect. Hare Krishna. Bhagavatam Bharadraj ki jai. Srila Prabhupada. Any questions? Any clarification? Anything you want to ask? You can ask. Or anything I have spoken wrongly, please forgive me. Hare Krishna. And our products. Untitled Chapter. Stop here.
Hare Krishna, Dandavat Pranam Prabhu. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna Prabhu, Chaitanya Bhavan.
Dandavat Pranam Prabhu. Prabhu, thank you for sharing such nice class. One, if you just throw some more light on this, the same in the battlefield, in that verse number, purport of this, what you shared is very nice. Purport
No, little louder, Prabhu. Little louder.
1935, Prabhu, that purport. what is-
1935 purport.
yeah,
Okay.
yeah. If you can just throw more light on the last line of the purport, that whoever even
1935. This is
understand
Bhishma.
1935 purport, last line of the purport. If you can just throw some more light that on that statement. Whoever understands this also gets salvation after quitting this material body. Hare Krishna.
And tell me the line, Prabhu.
The last but one, whoever understands this also gets salvation after quitting this material body.
One, Prabhu, this is your. You are
This is
talking about Agasura pastime, or you are talking
no,
about Bhishma's?
it is a battlefield. You said that glances of Krishna.
Correct.
Yeah. That one, that last but one line, almost at the end, just before the end, last sentence. And whoever understands this also gets salvation after quitting this material body. Yeah, if you can just throw some light.
Whoever understand this also gets salvation of putting this back. That means we have to realize that that is good. It is beneficial when we realize that whatever happened to the field of Kurukshetra, whatever such are the transactions, whoever understands this. That means if we understand Krishna's merciful glance in taking it. So normally, if you take the life of the people, is it not merciful? Correct? You take the life of the people, it is not merciful. But here, Krishna takes away, and this, it is not in the verse. Verse says that you took the lifespan of by a merciful glance. That's what is written. And there is no also word merciful glance. Akshna. Akshna means you have taken away the life of the people. Akshna means actually by looking over. But Prabhupada put in the translation merciful glance. So that's why we have to understand, even Krishna puts a devotee into difficulty, it is also good for him. But that is not easily to understand.
Yeah.
Okay. Because he has taken away the life of the longevity of the people. So what has happened? If from the material angle of vision, he has killed the 64 crore people. So Krishna is the biggest killer. If you read the verse only, and if you don't understand the purport, you will say Krishna is the biggest killer of the humans. How we can say Pandita Samadarshan? But we know when he took the life of the people, longevity of the people, that is for their termination of their material existence. And that common people cannot understand.
Yeah.
So if you realize and you understand this is a transcendental activity, it is not a material activity. Krishna's glance to wake up Gopas, that is a transcendental. To take the longevity of the people, this is also transcendental. If you realize this, then you are also eligible to enter, get the salvation. Means you are also eligible to get into the kingdom of God. If you accept both our merciful glance and realize it in our lives, presently we are trying to accept through our mind and intelligence, but we have to realize it in our lives. And that how we realize in our lives, whenever we are in difficulty, we have to take it as Krishna's mercy. But that is not easy. So it will take time. It will take some janmas. But doesn't matter. Krishna will give us the strength and the intelligence to withstand those miseries and come out of the miseries and then see the hand of Krishna. And that's what we are seeing, the hand of Krishna. Here, merciful glance means seeing the hand of Krishna. That is the hand. We have to see the hand of Krishna in all circumstances. And that's what he says. So if you can realize it, then you are also going back to the path of salvation. That's the meaning of this. That's what I understood. My little knowledge I have explained.
Thank you so much, Prabhu. It is very nice, nice explanation and nice purport also. Thank you so much, Prabhu. Hare Krishna. Dhanavad Pranam.
Any questions? Anything you want to add, you can add. Then we can close. Nothing is there, then we can close. Very good question, Prabhu. Excellent question. Chaitanya Bhagavan Prabhu. Wonderful question. Radhashi Prabhu, any questions? Okay. We will close then.
Hare Krishna, Prabhuji. Sorry, Prabhuji. I had a question. I was just offering Bhoga to Krishna. So
Okay.
sorry. Yeah, Prabhuji, this is so amazing to hear this pastime, and where you said the living entity who is most envious, and I mean, in the pastime, we feel like that nobody can be more envious than Agasura at that point of time.
Correct.
And then that living entity, just by having a darshan of Krishna,
Correct.
and of course he was touched by Krishna. So these are the two aspects which are most favorable for a living entity, but the most unfavorable aspect was the enviousness towards Krishna himself. And here it gives an real idea that the darshan of Krishna and the touch of Krishna is more powerful and in positive way, and it can kill all the negative aspects of the enviousness which
Correct. Wonderful
Agasura
realization.
had.
Super realization. Wonderful.
No,
Excellent. Yes.
and in that, if darshan of Krishna and touch of Krishna is so powerful, why are we not giving good attention to this aspect of Krishna consciousness, that it can really kill all the envy is the most difficult part. It is so subtle and it is so difficult to get envy out of us, and it is basically bringing us so many anarthas. It expands. You said it expands, and such a envious living entity, if it gets Sarupya Mukti, which is of course
Impossible.
it is nobody can imagine also. Sarupya Mukti, many living entity cannot imagine that there is something called as Sarupya Mukti. But
Correct.
here, living
Most
entity who is so
envious
envious,
most envious
just touch
creature
of
wants to
Krishna
swallow
and
the entire crop.
darshan of Krishna, he gets this Sarupya Mukti
Correct.
without being favorable to Krishna. So then, why are we not giving due attention to this aspect?
Correct. It's absolutely right. Because the thing is that we are not fixing our mind. We are not fixing our mind on Krishna. We are not fixing our intelligence on Krishna. And we don't have the faith. Because every day we lose faith and we fluctuates. That is the reason we are not able to get this. But however, no need to worry about it, because everybody is going on their own spiritual platform and their material baggage is there. So they are getting purified. Each one is getting purified. The moment you ask this question, this excellent question, that how come such an envious person can be removed of all the sins? What about us? Very good question. Very good relationship. Excellent relationship. So this is what we have to contemplate and see how much. No need to get bogged down by this. But the only thing is, this pastime is giving us one realization that we have to go towards Krishna as much as possible. How much we can fix the mind. If not 100%, some percentage. The Agasura pastime should invoke our enthusiasm and instill some confidence in us to go towards Krishna more. That's what the whole pastimes of all the pastimes of Krishna is to invoke and instill confidence in the devotees, because the Kali Yuga is Sajjan with faithlessness. Mind is disturbed. Intelligence is not used. So Krishna wants that to be. So that's why we have to pray. And one day we will go to him. We are progressing towards Krishna, definitely. Because it is Gabira Ramasa. Gabira Ramasa means it's subtle. We cannot see. We are getting disinfected. As I said, by darshan of the Lord, every day we are having darshan of the Lord. We are not inimical. We are fighting with Krishna sometimes. So, but we are not inimical towards the Lord. But that every time we are having the darshan, we are getting purified. Disinfection is going. So the disinfection, the two things here in this pastime. The first thing is that when they saw the body of Agasura, these devotees wants to enjoy that place, picnic. So Krishna saw that first installment of mercy for Agasura. What he said, this is the playground for the pleasure of my devotees. So I have to take care of them. So that is the first point of token of mercy. And that mercy superseded everything. And the second mercy came when he had the darshan of the Lord. So what we understand from this pastime is that if you have the mercy of the devotee, then mercy of Krishna is easier to get. That's how we should surrender to our spiritual master and always serve the devotees nicely and get the mercy, attract the mercy of Krishna. That's how we should try. This is what my little puny mind is able to comprehend from this pastime.
Prabhuji, one more aspect of this pastimes, which is very touching, is the Gopas were actually the devotees of Krishna and pure devotees, and this Agasura is the most envious person, and it shows that the pure devotees, whoever comes in their way, whether he is envious or non-envious, they are not worried about that aspect, and they are there to deliver such a living entity just by their touch. I think more than the touch of Krishna, I feel the Agasura was touched by so many pure devotees, and that's how
because he entered the devotees, Krishna entered. Otherwise, they would not enter. No, he has to purify. No, see, when Krishna comes, before Krishna came, Balram came and cleaned. Then Krishna came in Devavati Mata's womb. Because he wants the devotee to clean, and because Balram is a Sevak Bhagavan. Sevak Bhagavan. He's always serving his Krishna. Devotees go inside and purify. They purify and they remove the envy. Krishna has to kill physically, that's all. He was already, all the anarthas have gone, completely purified. Yes, wonderful relationship. Gopas entered the mouth, they were, first they are happy to enjoy purification. They entered the mouth, second purification. So that's why we have to get the devotee's mercy is more important than Krishna's mercy. And that's what Prabhupada writes in 313.4. Worship of the devotee is more important than worship of the Lord. That's why we have to glorify Prabhupada, we have to glorify our spiritual masters and worship, and always get the mercy of the devotees. And, because if you get the mercy of the devotees, Krishna is very pleased. And especially when you get a pure devotee, nothing like that. Excellent book, super realization. I think we can write Grantaraj on this.
Thank you, Prabhuji.
Hare Krishna. We should stop here.
Any other Prabhuji has any other queries or questions?
Anybody want to share some realization, we can share also. Otherwise, we can do 9:15 over here. 9 o'clock, already 9.
Okay, Prabhuji, thank you very much. You are a nice session, nice realizations you have given to us. At least we will, whenever, at least when we go in front of the deities, at least we know that we will get, at least Krishna will give his Krishna Kripa to us, even though we are not so merciful, at least he will give his mercy to us. So that's a very nice realization I gathered. Thank you very much, Prabhu. And one announcement we have, Prabhu, that 14th is Radha Ashtami. We have His Grace Shubha Vilas Prabhu. He will be taking the class that day. So the program will be at 7:30 to 9:30.
Shubha Vilas Prabhu from Bombay, no?
Yes, Prabhuji. Yes, Prabhu.
Adhanat.
Yeah. So we will be having his session on 14th, 7:30. We will send the program links and all on that day. Okay, Prabhu. Thank you very much, Prabhuji and Matajis. Thank you for joining.
Thank you very much, Hare Krishna.
And actually, the next week is Vamana Jayanti.
Okay.
Okay.
Next.
Vamana Dwadashi.